Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Manatee County's Candidate Forum. I am Mary Lynn Parker. I'm a League of Women Voters of Manatee County board member and the Education Issues Action Team chair. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan public policy organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. The League has both women and men as members. The League does not support or oppose any candidate or party. This presentation is being recorded and will be posted on the League's and Manatee Education TV, both of their websites. Reference can be made to it and can be posted or shown in its entirety. However, it is the property of the League of Women Voters, and partial showing or posting cannot be used without the written permission of the League of Women Voters of Manatee County. The candidates for the Republican Congressional District 16 are Sidney Gruters, Edward Pope, and Eddie Spiers. Candidate Gruters has elected not to participate in this forum. The winner of the Republican primary will face the winner of the Democratic primary, as well as Mark Davis in PA. Today's candidate forum rules call for civility on the part of both the candidates and the audience. The hallmark of democracy is the willingness of our community to treat each other with courtesy and respect. It is in that spirit that we are here this afternoon to engage in a vital part of our democratic process, a civilized discussion of the important issues that confront our communities. Candidates will have 1 minute to answer a question, and at the end of the program, they will have 1 minute for their closing statement. Linda Long will call time. When she says time, the candidate is to finish his sentence and we'll move on to the next candidate. We will alternate which candidate goes first at answering a question. At the end of the forum, the candidates will get 1 minute for a closing to appeal for your vote. We ask all candidates to speak only for themselves and not provide insight into their opponent's positions. There will be no rebuttals. Let's get started. Candidate Pope, what led you to run for this seat, and why should voters choose you to represent this extremely diverse District 16?
Well, I first like to thank Eddie for showing up. It says a lot about him. It says a lot about me. I decided to run for Congress because I believe public service is about serving people, not building a political career. Throughout my life, I have answered the call to serve as a United States Navy veteran, 14 years law enforcement, protecting our communities, and for the past 26 years, helping lead a company that delivers life-saving medical supplies. I've seen firsthand how decisions made in Washington impact families, veterans, seniors, first responders, and small businesses right here in Florida. I did not enter this race because someone recruited me or because I was next in line. I entered because I believe our district deserves representation with real-world leadership, proven experience, courage to put the people of Florida 16 district ahead of politics and special interests. If you want another career politician, you have a choice. But if you want a veteran, law enforcement officer, executive, and someone who has spent his entire life serving others, I'm the one to vote for.
Thank you. Candidate Spier, what led you to run for this seat, and why should you be chosen?
I'm running for the seat because I love this country. It's a deep, passionate love. I was involved with athletics in college and then immediately started a family. And so I didn't get the opportunity to serve my country, but I feel a debt of gratitude, a deep sense of a debt of gratitude to this country that it's allowed me to be an entrepreneur, to start a software company, to start a movie business, to start a school, and so many other opportunities. It's allowed me to fail and fail forward and try my ideas. And I love this, and I believe that it needs to be protected. When we take an oath, to protect this country against enemies, both foreign and domestic. I didn't get the chance to fight against foreign enemies, but there's plenty of domestic enemies that are seeking to hurt and diminish the liberties that we currently enjoy.
Thank you. And this question, you will begin answering this one as well.
Okay.
Serving in Congress requires navigating complex legislation, committee work, and constituent services from day one. What experiences or skills best prepare you to take on these responsibilities immediately upon entering office?
I've had a wide variety of businesses and education and running for Congress. I was the largest grassroots candidate in Florida history on the Republican side. And as far as I can tell, on the Democrat side as well. Nobody's got more signatures than I have, and nobody's done more work than I have to earn this position. And I've run multi-million-dollar businesses and dealt with the constituents of many customers in my financial career and my software career as a software entrepreneur. And then in dealing with constituents, when you're dealing with parents, they are very concerned about everything that's going on with their kids, and building with teachers an award-winning school is just some of, and I've only got 1 minute, but just some of the resume that allows me to be hit the ground running on day one.
Dr. Pope, same question.
Well, I think, leadership is not something I talk about. It's something that I've lived for more than 3 decades. I began my leadership journey serving the nation in the United States Navy, followed by 14 years in law enforcement, where I led under pressure as a SWAT team member, firearms instructor, field training officer, traffic homicide investigator. Throughout my career, I learned that true leadership is built on integrity, accountability, and making difficult decisions when the matter meets most. For the last 26 years, I've helped lead a successful medical logistic company. And every day, we ensure life-saving medications reach patients and hospitals safely and on time. I've also earned my PhD in criminal justice with a focus on executive leadership, studying which makes organization and leaders effective. But my greatest education has come from leading people in the real world, not from Washington politics.
And back to you, Dr. Pope, for the next question. It's a 2-part question. What are your funding sources, and how much is local and out of state? And second, who has endorsed you?
Well, I can tell you my campaign has never been about chasing endorsements or relying on special interest money. It's been about earning the trust of the people of Florida 16th District, one conversation at a time. While endorsements can be meaningful, they do not cast a single vote. The people do. Endorsements, referrals do not mean that the person is the right person for the job. I'm proud that our campaign is built from the ground up. Veterans, law enforcement officers, firefighters, small business owners, seniors, hardworking families. And I believe it's time for experienced leadership instead of politics as usual. I have self-funded my campaign. I refuse to be bought. I will not be bought. I do not want to owe political favors to any special interest groups or party insiders. My loyalty is to the citizens I hope to represent. I would rather earn 1 vote trust through honesty and hard work than collect endorsements that come with expectations.
Thank you. Candidate Spier, funding sources and endorsements.
Funding sources are largely local, close to, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think it's been about $40,000. I think it's got to be well over 80% of that is local. And as far as endorsements go, endorsements come with strings attached a lot of times, and the money attaches to the endorsements. A lot of endorsements are bought and paid for. I've been exposing that because that is a problem of our campaign finance, so that people don't know who's bought and paid for and whose interests are actually going to be represented. So what I've done is, last election I ran against Vern Buchanan and I won 40% of the vote, which was twice as much as any other candidate, with the exception of one other candidate in all of Florida, as far as a challenger running against an incumbent. So I've got over 26,000 endorsements already, and we're getting more every day.
Thank you. District 16 is now composed of widely divergent areas, including rapidly growing communities as well as areas with aging infrastructure. What federal actions would you support to improve transportation, water systems, broadband access, and other critical infrastructure across both urban, such as St. Petersburg, and rural parts of the district? Candidate Spier.
Well, one of the first things I want to talk about is our water. So the AI, and I hope we talk about data centers, but the data centers are looking to take some of that water, and Mosaic has already tremendous access, 70 million gallons a day they have access to in Manatee County. That's a huge problem, especially when they have deep water injection wells that they're tasking us with $23 million in the local county government budget that should belong to Mosaic. So what I would do is I would fight for correct EPA restrictions, and I would repeal the Bevel Amendment that gives Mosaic a lot of that access to be able to diminish our water supply. So that's one aspect, and I'm going to run out of time with the rest. But basically, to break up the big tech monopolies that are happening is a huge part of the economic plan that we need to address here locally.
Thank you. Candidate Pope.
Well, Florida 16 is incredibly diverse. Everything from age, occupation, life experiences, priorities, veterans, retirees, farmers, first responders, teachers, healthcare. And we may not all agree on every issue, but we all want safe communities, a strong economy, quality education, affordable healthcare, and opportunities for all of our children. You know, throughout my career in the Navy, law enforcement, and executive leadership, I've worked with people from every background imaginable. I learned that effective leadership begins with listening, treating people with respect, and making decisions based on facts and fairness. As a congressman, I would not only represent those who voted for me, but I will represent everyone from Florida's 16th district. I will be accessible, accountable, and committed to finding practical solutions that strengthen our communities while protecting the values and freedoms that unite us as Americans.
Thank you. And Candidate Pope, what is your position on federal standards for voting access and your position on election security?
Well, I think every eligible American has the constitutional right to vote, and every legal vote deserves to be counted accurately. At the same time, every voter should have confidence that our elections are secure, transparent, and free from fraud. I support common sense measures that strengthen election integrity, such as requiring proof of citizenship where required by law in federal elections, maintain accurate voter rolls, protecting against unlawful voting, ensuring bipartisan oversight throughout the election process. These are not making it hard to vote. They are about making it harder to cheat and easier for Americans to trust the results.
Candidate Spier, same question.
Yeah, the Save America Act needs to be passed, and it's been a lot of political theater, and they haven't passed the Save America Act, which would just ensure election integrity. But people need to actually do a little bit of research and realize that what I did last election cycle was I took James Satcher and held him accountable and made sure that everybody knew that he was about to have access to the voter rooms with ballots. So election integrity requires actual action and knowledge of the details and somebody that's committed to it. And I've already proven that. And I believe that that was a big reason why Satcher was not voted as the supervisor of elections here in Manatee County. And I think everybody stood a lot more confident in election integrity. The other aspect is the Republican Party of Florida has not adhered to election integrity, and I've been holding them accountable as well.
Thank you. Again, Candidate Spier, do you believe the escalating national debt is a problem? And if so, what measures do you propose to bring them bring down that deficit? Be specific, please.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. Yeah, it's a massive problem. The debt and inflation is the hidden tax, so they don't have to come back and say get taxes approved. They're just starting to print money. That's a huge problem. And in fact, the endorsements that have come for other candidates in this race have come because they know that they're going to continue the same process of just spending money that's completely out of control. What we need are single item bills. We need to move away from the omnibus and the continuing resolutions and have proper appropriations with single item bills so that people in Congress will come home and they have to defend every dollar that they spent, because it's not their dollars, it's not the government's dollars, it's our dollars, it's taxpayer dollars, and it needs to be protected, and we need transparency and to hold Congress accountable. The power of the purse needs to be taken back by Congress.
Thank you. Candidate Pope.
Well, I think the national debt is one of the greatest long-term threats to our nation's economic and national security. We cannot continue spending money we do not have and expect future generations to pay the bill. As a congressman, I would support a common sense, fiscally responsible approach. We first must eliminate waste, fraud, abuse throughout the federal government, and also demand accountability for every taxpayer dollar. Second, I think we need to return to responsible budgeting by prioritizing essential government functions, reducing unnecessary spending, and stopping the practice of passing massive bills that few have ever read. We must grow our economy by supporting Americans, reducing burdensome regulations, and creating an environment where I believe good-paying jobs can thrive. I feel that a stronger economy generates more revenue without automatically raising taxes. Just as importantly, Congress needs to start making decisions with a long-term perspective instead of focusing on the next election cycle. We owe that to our children. We owe that to our grandchildren.
Thank you. Government corruption consistently shows up at or near the top of Americans' list of concerns. What specific steps would you support in Congress to strengthen transparency, oversight, and accountability across federal government? Candidate Pope?
That's a great question. I plan to accomplish my mission the same way I've accomplished every mission throughout my career, with preparation, accountability, and by bringing people together to solve problems. Whether serving in the United States Navy, protecting our communities and law enforcement, or even leading a business that delivers life-saving medical supplies, I've learned that real leadership is about delivering results and not making excuses. As a congressman, I would be accessible and present throughout Florida's 16th district, holding regular town hall meetings with local leaders, businesses, veterans, first responders, farmers, and families to ensure their voice is heard in Washington, not just during election season, but year-round. I will also focus on practical priorities, such as securing our borders, strengthening our economy, supporting our veterans and seniors, protecting our constitutional freedoms, and reducing government waste. I will work with anyone who has a good idea, regardless of party, as long as it benefits the people of District 16.
Candidate Spier?
Corruption is the issue. It is critical. We can't enact good policy if it's corrupted from the beginning and doesn't even get a chance to see the light of day. And what we need to find in candidates is somebody who's actually done it, who's fought against the corruption. So nobody has fought against the corruption as much as I have in Manatee County by eliminating and calling out Anthony Pedicini and calling people out by name, including Pat Neal, Carlos Broof, and Randy Benderson, and Joe Gruters for what he did. He just gave a $10 million storm shelter to the Benderson Development Center. That under the auspice of it being a storm center when it resides on a lake. It's a complete non-starter. It is as bad as it gets, and nobody has done more to call out the corruption here locally. And the same thing would happen in DC, to call out and work with inspectors general and to work with everybody that would call out the corruption so that we can take the country back from crony capitalists.
Thank you. Candidate Spier, do you believe climate change to be a threat to Florida's economic and environmental health? And if so, what will you do once in office to reduce its causes or adapt to changes?
I believe that there's specific man-made intentional damage that's being done by polluters. And a lot of people have referred to me like a Teddy Roosevelt type of a Republican, that they haven't seen anybody that cares as much as for the environment as I do. But what ends up happening is a lot of people call it a watermelon. It's green on the outside, but it's red on the inside, meaning under the guise of environmentalism, there's a lot of communism. I gotta take, there you go. Can you still see me? My phone just...
Yes, you froze for a second. We're back.
Sorry about that. So what we need is somebody that is going to fight against Mosaic and go on record to repeal the Bevel Amendment and to fight for our environment. And that's what I would absolutely plan on doing. And if the EPA can't do the job, then we need to defund and hold the EPA accountable to do its job.
Thank you. Candidate Pope.
I'm going to kind of capitalize on something that Eddie mentioned earlier. First, people come to Florida to enjoy what Florida has to offer. The sunshine, the waterways, the historical areas. So when we look at stuff like what you're talking about, I want to talk about AI centers. And AI centers, as far as I'm concerned, are experimental. We don't truly know what they're going to do and what kind of harm they are going to bring to the environment. Are they going to have an impact on our waterways? Yes, possibly. Are they going to have an impact on our power grids? Are they going to have an impact on wildlife? Are they going to have an impact just in everything in general? So when we talk about natural causes of pollutants, AI centers is something that it's the top of the list. I think Eddie spoke about it earlier. And that would be something that, we have to be aware of.
Thank you. How will you work to improve access to affordable health care in both rural and urban parts of this district? Candidate Pope?
Well, when we talk about healthcare, let's talk about the veterans. Being a veteran right now, I can tell you right now that the VA has laid off about 40,000 people within the VA. And I know that right now we have veterans that are waiting 6-7 months for healthcare. There are also those veterans that are waiting 6-7 months just to be seen for a disability review percentage. If for some reason they're not seen within those 6 or 7 months, then a lot of these veterans are being referred to outside doctors in the civilian world, and then they were having to wait another 3 or 5 more months. It has to change. There needs to be revisions, not only with the veterans, but there also needs to be revisions as far as affordability for healthcare, not only for seniors, but for everyone else.
Thank you. And how will you work to improve access to affordable health care? Candidate Spier?
There's a lot of candidates that just try to make an emotional appeal, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, what we need is actual solutions, and the free market provides those. And health care savings accounts can have a huge impact and should have a huge impact to eliminate the insurance companies. The insurance companies are dictating terms between a doctor and a patient. The patient needs to be in control of those decisions. And just like we did in Florida with a voucher program, we put parents in charge. We need to put the patient in charge and put the doctors back in charge and hold insurance companies accountable and make sure that they're not the ones that are actually in the middle and causing all these restrictions to what doctors and patients know to be the right healthcare at any given time. Also, the VA reform needs free market solutions, and I put that on my website too. So I want to just point people to the website to look at the VA reform plan that I've put together.
Okay, next question. What reforms do you support to improve the federal immigration system? Candidate Spier?
The federal immigration system needs to be able to parse out who's actually a political asylum and who's not, who has come over into this country and has been a tremendous benefit, so that we can fast track those people. They need to be fast tracked, but they need to be fast tracked on the other side of the border. We don't, because it ends up creating this idea of immunity, and it's just too much of a political quagmire. So we need to continue the deportations that are happening, and then we need to fast track people that have already been here for years and years and years and have been productive members of our society, and make sure that their path to citizenship is streamlined. And we need to make sure that we're standing against, and when I went down to Texas and Arizona, I saw in 2024, I saw the flood, and it's an attack on our country. So we need to make sure that we're standing against that attack that comes from Iran, Venezuela, and Nicaragua.
Candidate Pope, what reforms would you support to improve federal immigration?
Well, I can tell you this. My great-grandparents came over from Italy. They came over to New York. They came over to pursue the American dream. They wanted to be productive members in society. We don't live in that era anymore. Having a background in counterterrorism, people need to understand that there are people around this world that want to come into this country and want to harm us. They want to kill us. And we've got to be very proactive with that. So as far as immigration laws, we need to allow ICE to do what they need to do to get the bad out of here. But there are certain people that are in this country too, like my great-grandparents, that want to be productive members of society, and they want to pursue the American dream. We have to have a process where we can fast track these people. But once again, the process has to be done legally. We need to know who these people are that are coming into this country. It is crucial. What most people don't realize too, a lot of these people that come in with the intent to harm Americans also set up cells within our country, and we have to be aware of that as well.
Thank you. Next question. Voters in District 16 expect their member of Congress to be accessible and responsive. What specific steps will you take to ensure regular communication with constituents, including public events, town halls, and opportunities for voters to ask questions directly? Candidate Pope?
I believe accountability and transparency begins with leadership. I mentioned before, throughout my career in the Navy, law enforcement, and in executive leadership, I was responsible for decisions that affected people's lives. I believe Congress should be held to the same standards of accountability as Americans. As your congressman, what I would do is hold regular town hall meetings across the district, providing updates and how I am voting and why, and maintain an open door policy so people always know that they can come and see me and where I stand. I will also support stronger oversight over federal agencies requiring measurable results for taxpayer-funded programs, conduct regular audits to identify and eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse. I also believe every bill should be available for the public review before it is voted on, and that lawmakers should be transparent about who they are meeting with and how tax dollars are being spent.
Thank you. Candidate Spier?
Again, I'm going to point to the record of being the largest grassroots candidate in Florida history, as far as I can tell, and I've been researching it. Also, when I ran an Inc. 500 company and won it 4 times, one of only 100 companies to do so, what I did is I made sure that every client had my cell phone so that they could call me. The same is true at the school. The same is true, period. If I get disconnected from the people, I lose focus, and anybody else does too. And people just become complacent, and that is not the job that's at hand. And to answer your question specifically, I would absolutely do what I've been doing now: hold town halls, talk to people, go to events, go to baseball games, go to soccer games, just the way I have this entire campaign season and last season, to gain as many connections as I possibly can with voters. And we need to improve in Florida's 16th Congressional District.
Candidate Pope?
No, I think I already answered that. That's okay. I can answer it again if you want.
I'm sorry. Many issues, this will go to candidate Spier, just so we get back on track where I fell off track a little. Many issues face District 16, from transportation to water quality to housing. And these require coordination between federal, state, and local governments. How will you work with county and municipal leaders across this diverse district to make sure federal resources are used effectively? Candidate Spier?
Thank you for the question. Yeah, nobody has connected more with local government than I have. I haven't seen any of the other candidates at BOCC meetings connecting in not just Manatee County, but DeSoto and throughout the district. So I've already developed relationships with each of these county commissioners at a county level and at a state level. So I would continue to do so. And really, when you focus on the issue and on the mission, you gotta be concerned. And there's a saying that I have: you gotta love your purpose more than your position. What happens is a lot of politicians get up there and they just love the position. No, it's the purpose that needs to drive everything. And when you have that kind of mission and that kind of drive, everybody else will just follow and get in line because they want to be a part of a mission. That's why I've had so much success, including in my school, 5 state championships in baseball and a lot of other accolades throughout my career. It's because of a focus on the mission, on the issues at hand.
Thank you. Candidate Pope?
Well, if we could talk about the missions on hand, you're right. Relationships are very important. I've been determined and I've never given up on anything as far as maintaining those relationships, which is the reason why I've been so successful. As a Florida trooper, I am the only trooper to receive Trooper of the Month 3 times 1 month, 2 months, 2 times the following year. International, 1 or 2 to receive that. Statewide, Trooper of the Year. Tampa Bay's Trooper of the Year. Troop F, Trooper of the Year. I've got 9 life saves. As far as my ability to be on SWAT, drug interdiction, and so forth, those are things that were accomplished. Those were things that I was determined. I also maintain a full-time job as a COO still. I have not vacated my position like some of the other candidates. I still do this full-time. I still try to function as a father and as a parent and a husband while also pursuing that congressional parade and trying to visit all these counties and communities. So I'm doing a lot out there. I know we miss each other on a lot of the events that are going on, but I can assure you relationships are strong, and I've done that.
The next question will come to you as well, Candidate Pope. Social Security's trust fund is projected to pay 100% benefits until the end of 2032. At that time, the fund's reserves will become depleted and the program's income will be sufficient to pay 78% of the scheduled benefits. What would you do, if anything, to ensure full Social Security benefits beyond 2032?
Well, I'd like to see the numbers. I would like to look at and putting together some sort of an advisory group to evaluate it. I'd like to see where monies are being spent. Look for possibilities of fraud. The taxpayers and the people that have invested in Social Security their entire life have a right to know where it is and also hopefully know that they're going to receive it. I can only tell you that I would be aggressive in trying to find the opportunities to locate, maintain, and move monies to Social Security so that people didn't have to worry about the fact that it may be depleted.
Thank you. Candidate Spier.
A contract made needs to be fulfilled. And so when people pay into Social Security, they need to receive that money back, period, 100%. I would support that 100%. The problem is that they're just going to be printing money, and we've got to have an economic game plan to stop wasteful spending everywhere else. And you've got to have somebody with the guts that can go up to Congress and call out all the waste, fraud, and abuse the way I have, and call people out by name the way I've called out people by name here in Manatee County, and throughout the district already with the wasteful spending. And I've done even here on this call today. So we need more of that. And we also need an economic game plan so that it's not just inflated away, because that's what's going to end up happening. It's easy to say, hey, support it at 100%. But if that 100% just doesn't go as far as it used to go, then we've got a problem. So we have to have an economic game plan. And if I don't get to this, I keep trying to get to this, I'll get it in my closing arguments about an economic game plan.
Thank you. Candidate Spier, what are some examples of how you have demonstrated an ability to establish common ground and make constructive action possible?
One of the best examples is a very controversial one, and we'll run the risk of running out of time on this one. But I was a trustee at New College of Florida, and we were the first ones to get rid of DEI in the nation. And we were the first ones to get rid of gender studies, which is the indoctrination center for the trans agenda that is putting girls and boys sports and causing all kinds of problems that most Republicans completely disagree with. But what people don't know and the media won't share with anybody is that I went on campus and met with these students on just about a daily basis, developed relationships with socialist, with trans students, and even to this day, and developed a dialogue, because what they needed, they wanted to be heard, and they needed to be heard, and people need to be heard. And that's a big problem that we have with the Republican Party of Florida, when they're just silencing people left and right. So this is critical, and we need to make sure that the uniparty doesn't prevent us by creating these ideologies, and they're the only ones that could be the arbiter of the peace between the different ideologies.
Candidate Pope.
During my time in law enforcement, I was very fortunate to work with a lot of the non-for-profit organizations that are out there. Some in particular, the Homeless Coalition, where what I end up doing is writing grants and creating programs, especially around the holidays, that would help people that were not as fortunate, that were trying to get back on track, that maybe have gone through some drug problems or alcohol problems. And we would screen a lot of these families. We'd raise the money. We would try to provide for them so that they get back on their feet, and try to give them a really good Christmas or a holiday. With my company, we encourage military personnel to work with us. Some of the things that I'd like to come up with is a tax credit for small businesses that would encourage veterans, or encourage small companies to hire veterans. I'm out of time.
And you'll have a chance now to start the answering for this. What is your position on U.S. involvement in the conflict with Iran, including whether you support continued funding for military operations? Please explain your reasoning.
Is that me? Okay. You know, here's the thing. I mean, we hear a different version of what's going on. We know that Iran is a threat. We should have taken care of business right from the get-go, instead of prolonging the situation and putting the lives of our U.S. military, putting them in danger. You know, we've got issues right now in our country with veterans, and now we're going to encounter more. As far as what this war is going to cost us, being it's so prolonged, I could just imagine. But once again, you know, our responsibility is to make sure that we are protected within the United States of all threats. And also, we have an obligation to make sure that we protect our allies. I just hope that this issue with Iran is over quickly before it costs the taxpayers even more money.
Thank you. Candidate Spier.
Boy, this is really hard in 1 minute. I'll do my best, but we got to start with the history that Iran has declared war on us ever since 1979, and they've been carrying out that war. They are the largest exporter of terrorists. Yet at the same time, Congress needs to approve this, and Congress is the one that needs to declare war. And what we need is somebody that's going to help and pull resources and have a direction rather than a willy-nilly type of approach that we've had so far. It's been, okay, we're bombing, we're not bombing, and we're going to trust them. Now we're not going to trust them. That's not good. We need to tap in and have a clear direction so that we can pull in the 6 million expatriates that want their country back. There hasn't been a direction to them as to how they can be a part of taking back their country from the radical clerics that have completely taken over the country and caused terror within the country for the last 47 years.
Okay, next question. Do you support continued U.S. military and humanitarian aid to Ukraine? Why or why not?
No, I don't. I think there's other ways that we can help, but I think they've already proven the corruption with Burisma and 10% to the big guy, and just they have not been a reliable partner there in Ukraine. So we've got to find a way to get out and pull out, and not a la Afghanistan and just leave all of our resources there. There needs to be an audit that's happening, and Lindsey Graham needs to be as far away from this as possible, because he is the epitome of the military industrial complex, just seeking to profit off of war everywhere that he possibly can. So there's people within our country that are profiting off of this, and it's not good. It's our taxpayer dollars. It's our resources. And so we need to take a hard look at what's happening in Ukraine and begin pulling back and let them stand on their own.
Thank you. Candidate Pope, same question.
Yeah, I have to agree with Eddie. I think we need to pull back on this. You know, there are people that are going to be making money on these deals. And the amount of money and resources that's being utilized, you know, if you take in consideration those numbers, just think what good it could do for a lot of the things that are going on in our own country. And, you know, once again, government continues to spend more. And as a result, the taxpayers only to buy less. So with every action, there's a reaction. But yeah, I think we're spreading ourselves pretty thin as far as dealing with Ukraine and having to deal with Iran. I think we need to start focusing on what's going on in our own country and taking care of our own.
Thank you. Next question will come to you as well. What federal role, if any, should Congress have in regulating abortion? And how would you vote on national legislation?
Well, I'm pro-life, okay? And I think that I would approve, without a doubt, anything out there that protects the life of the unborn, with the exception if it has a negative or a death to the mother. If there is a situation that there's no other option, then that would be the only exception to the rule. But I am pro-life. I've always been pro-life. I can tell you as a police officer, I'm seeing too many young people, 4, 5, 6 abortions. And I can tell you as a parent who's adopted, there are a lot of people out there that will love the opportunity to be a parent. So I support pro-life. My wife supports pro-life.
Thank you. Candidate Spier.
Roe v. Wade was just horrible, a horrible decision. But that being said, the precedent has been set for a national abortion ban. So I am an abortion abolitionist, and I've stood in this fight. I led Manatee County. After I lost the election against Vern Buchanan, I stayed on to be the director of the No on 4 campaign in Manatee County. So I'm committed to this cause and would continue to be committed to this cause, the cause of life of the innocent and the unborn.
Candidate Spier, what is your plan to strengthen hurricane preparedness and recovery resources, such as those services provided by FEMA?
Look, I've got a big problem with AI, but there's certain uses for it to be able to coordinate with local, state, and federal resources what a game plan is and creating that preparedness so that everybody knows exactly what they need to do and when they need to do it. This is a simple fix as far as preparation goes, but instead it ends up being just a political hot topic that everybody talks about and nobody actually does. And so, again, just grabbing people and saying, this is the proposal as we see it in this kind of scenario, and then just go through a bunch of case scenarios. This is quick and easy use of computer technology that can and should be used for preparation and to get everybody on the same page so that when the disaster strikes, that everybody knows exactly what they're doing. And that takes relationships too. You got to have the relationships so that you know exactly who to call. You have their phone number. I have all the county commissioners' phone numbers on my speed dial, so I'm already ready to call local officials.
Candidate Pope.
Preparation is the key to it. As a state trooper, I can't tell you how many hurricane details I've served on and how many command centers that I went to in areas that were struck where the left didn't know what the right was doing. Between the American Red Cross, FEMA, additional personnel, additional equipment, different supplies. There had been times when I had to take the role and kind of delegate, hey, this is where we need to go. This is our focus of concentration. I think it's crucial that your congressman be the type of person that is one of the boots on the ground to be able to delegate, to help assist, to make sure that supplies are going where it needs to go to, where personnel is going to where it needs to go to, and not scooping up the family and disappearing into another state. I would be the type of person, obviously, that I would be there and I would wait it out and I would make sure that everyone is taken care of within my district.
Thank you. This will be our last question before your closing. And this will come to you, Candidate Pope, first. Special interests make billions every year by donating to congressional campaigns and receiving contracts during legislative sessions. How do you propose to make decisions made on merit and need rather than connections with a large contributor?
Well, just take a look at our current primary and the one particular candidate that's in there, the amount of endorsements and the funding and the developers that are backing her and the tremendous amount of money that's being thrown her way. You know, I said this earlier, I won't be bought. I refuse to be bought. But I think what has to happen is, I think what we need to first start to do, and I've already drew up the legislation for it, is we need term limits in Congress. I think what happens is people go up to Congress with the intention of wanting to help others, and then once they get there, it becomes you, then becomes me. You end up with congressmen that, you know, they're $174,000 salary, and before you know it, they're making $5 million a year. So I think it starts with term limits. I think term limits is a good opportunity for those that are looking for people to be bought. I think it's a way to stop it. It's definitely a beginning, and I'm running out of time.
Candidate Spier.
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. Special interests make billions every year by donating to congressional campaigns and receiving contracts during legislative sessions. How do you propose to make decisions made on merit and need rather than connections with a large contributor?
Well, I don't want to spend the whole minute talking about, because I think it's already clear as the largest grassroots candidate where I stand. I stand with we the people and to be an actual representative. But what I would do to fight against it is campaign finance reform. Citizens United has been a big problem, and we need more transparency. And Eric Robinson, again, we got to call people out by name. Eric Robinson and Joe Gruters have who is Joe Gruters' partner. Eric Robinson has put together 80 dark money PACs that have funneled dark money, developers specifically, here locally. And now we need transparency to watch where that money goes so that we can educate and inform the whole mass of the people. As Thomas Jefferson said, it's our only sure reliance against tyranny. And that's what's happening right now, is we're getting to a tyrannical state where there's a select few that are making all the decisions here locally and nationally.
Thank you, candidate Spier. Would you please begin your 1-minute closing statement?
1 minute. Yeah. It's hard.
Give them a minute and a half.
Yeah. So, no, it's been great. Thank you for having this and doing your part in administering this education and this information. We've got to go after the control of the developers. The developers have been controlling local politics for a long period of time, and somebody has to call them out. And my economic plan is to, by the way, the screen is on Dr. Pope instead of me, by the way. I'm not sure if that's on me or what. Is that mine? Okay, there we go. Thank you. So the economic plan to break up big tech, just think of what happened during Reagan's time, that he broke up the Ma Bell companies. It unleashed an economic torrent of good times. And we can have the same thing if we just impose antitrust to big tech monopolies.
Thank you. Candidate Pope, your closing statement.
Okay. Well, you know, there were 3 candidates invited to participate in this debate, and only 2 showed up. Public service is about showing up when it is difficult, when questions need to be answered, and when people deserve to hear directly from those asking for their vote. When someone chooses not to be here and instead offers excuses, I believe that tells the voters something important about priorities and accountability. I've spent my entire life showing up. I showed up as a United States Navy veteran. I showed up for 14 years as a law enforcement officer, protecting our communities. I showed up as a business executive responsible for delivering life-saving medical supplies. And I will show up every day for the people of this district as your congressman. I'm not asking for your vote because of political connections or endorsements. I'm asking for your vote because of a lifetime of proven service, leadership, and results. I believe experience matters, integrity matters, accountability matters, and earning your trust matters. I want to thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. And on behalf of the League of Women Voters, thank you to candidates Eddie Spier and Edward Pope for participating, and to all of you for attending this virtual candidate forum. We also extend our gratitude to our neighboring leagues in Sarasota, St. Petersburg, and Polk County for actively publicizing the District 16 forums, as well as to the Patterson Foundation, especially Sherry Courier, for publicizing and reaching out to local leaders in DeSoto and Hardee counties. Tonight's discussion offered voters valuable insight to help make thoughtful, informed choices in the upcoming election. The League is hosting forums for most primary races at the federal, state, and county levels. And to view videos of all the League candidate forums or share nonpartisan resources with friends and neighbors, please visit the League of Women Voters of Manatee County website at lwvmanatee.org. Thank you.